software apprenticeship program.
And get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to Creating Coding Careers, where you're going to get experienced technology. The pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your organization.
I've worked with coding teams for many years, and this was the first one that just picked up where we were and started continuing like they built it.
We're happy to have them in the building and see what they're developing. This is the second location. They started out with us in our building in Escondido.
Creating Coding Careers has this incredible combination of subject matter expertise in the technology field and what is actually required to do the job, as well as this network of employer partners who believe in the mission on changing what technologists
I'm the founder of Setting Up Code School and Creating Coding Careers. We provide a 12-month software apprenticeship program.
and get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to creating coding careers where you're going to get experienced technology. The pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your organization.
I've worked with coding teams for many years, and this was the first one that just picked up where we were and started continuing like they built it.
We're happy to have them in the building and see what they're developing. This is the second location. They started out with us in our building in Escondido.
Creating coding careers has this incredible combination of subject matter expertise in the technology field and what is actually required to do the job, as well as this network of employer partners who believe in the mission on changing what technologists
I'm the founder of San Diego Code School and Creating Coding Careers. We provide a 12-month software apprenticeship program.
and get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to creating coding careers where you're going to get experienced technology. pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your organization.
I've worked with coding teams for many years, and this was the first one that just picked up where we were and started continuing like they built it.
We're happy to have them in the building and see what they're developing. This is the second location. They started out with us in our building in Escondido.
Creating Coding Careers has this incredible combination of subject matter expertise in the technology field and what is actually required to do the job, as well as this network of employer partners who believe in the mission on changing what technologists
and creating coding careers. We provide a 12-month software apprenticeship program.
And get picked up by a big tech company.
What Mike has built and what this team brings is it's AAA class.
And I thought, this is the model that we're going to grow Genus.
I would first look to contract out to creating coding careers where you're going to get experienced technology. The pipeline into your company for long-term growth.
So you're better off starting where you can groom and mentor and shape, people for your organization.
I've worked with coding teams for many years, and this was the first one that just picked up where we were and started continuing like they built it.
We're happy to have them in the building and see what they're developing. This is the second location. They started out with us in our building in Escondido.
Creating coding careers has this incredible combination of subject matter expertise in the technology field and what is actually required to do the job, as well as this network of employer partners who believe in the mission on changing what technologists
Testing, testing. 1, 2. Guys, you live?
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, of course. So we have a mic right here. Just want to project a little bit. Well, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm glad to have you. You know, when we met at our last event, definitely impressed with your story. So wanted to have you come out to tell our audience a little bit more about you and your journey into the tech industry. But before we get started, I did want to, for everyone that's out there that isn't a member of Relaxing Tech, please go ahead and join. We'll go ahead and drop the link. So it's foundation.relaxingtech.net. Please join. What that will allow is for you to gain access to both paid and free courses and certification, as well as discounts to travel, all types of good stuff. So definitely check it out. There's also a mentorship network called Converge Mentor. So check that out as well. If you're someone who's looking for a mentor or has the time to give back and to be a mentor to someone, please go on the website and sign up. Awesome. So we'll jump in. So thank you for being here. Nice. So let's tell the people who are you, what do you do? Let's get like a brief backstory.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much just like everyone here, with my probably different background, but like it's still the same thing, the same goal, the same struggle, So my name is Blvd, and I grew up back in Nigeria, and I'm pretty much just a laid back person that just keeps pushing for whatever I want. Like I just feel like and yeah, I did my undergrad in mathematics, and I got inspiration from not knowing mathematics in high school. I'm like, why is it so difficult? Why does math need to be difficult? So that was what prompted me to like go for math in college. And yeah, when I was in college, before I got into college, I picked up interest in computers, which I'm pretty sure like some of you guys also like picked up interest in computers. an interest because like why you're young.
Mhm.
So like from there, I kind of like started getting interest in programming. Programming wasn't really a thing then, so I just did it as a hobby.
Okay.
So that was how I started programming. When I did study math, I was fortunate to, because like math, it has to do with a lot of logic. I was just like combining that strength with programming, and I was like getting it right. So I finished my undergrad. I got a job, and from there I worked for like 2 years. Yeah, before then I was like, okay, I want to take a master's degree in mathematics again because I wanted to like further my degree more kind of mathematics. So yeah, then I looked for places where I could like take my master's, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come down to the US. And that was how I came down to the US, and I got my master's in mathematics, and then after that I got a job. Yeah, I am with you guys, and I was glad to meet you guys because I was looking for opportunities of work. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a good community to join, you know, so like collaborate with people and that.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that in the earlier years, like math was like a struggle for you, right? And then, but at a certain point, you shifted and said, like, no, I'm going to pursue this. Right? So, like, what was that mindset, and what like shifted you into, really pursuing like, advancing?
Yeah, well, it was tough for me, yeah, but like I started getting it.
Okay.
And the reason why I started getting it was because I was I felt so sad like I'm not getting this stuff like this. You know, when you just keep doing something, you do it to get it. So when I realized I started getting it, it was towards when I was in my high school, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna keep doing this. So that was just it.
You also mentioned that at a certain point when you were younger, you picked up like an interest in technology. So what were those incidents that caused you to start to lean into technology?
Okay, yeah. So it actually started right from when I was in elementary school, right? So back then, in where I grew up, like computer wasn't really a thing, right? So in my elementary school, there was just one single computer, and it was if you know how to put on a computer and just open up Microsoft Word, then you're the best computer grade. So yeah, that was how it started. And like we usually have this computer class where they just want to introduce us to like, hey, this is what's for the keyboard, this is what's for the mouse. So yeah, that was just what the interest like. What is this? What is this fascinating thing that just pops out some beautiful light? And you see the windows and see, you know. So that was where I picked up the interest, and yeah, then when I moved to middle school, I with the main course of computer studies, but what was being taught was just like the teachers like what a computer is, then they teach us like I don't know if you know about basic programming. Yeah, so they started teaching us about basic programming, and trust me, this is just paper programming. It's not like coding or anything. It's just telling us like, okay, if you write a logic like an if statement, this is what you should get. And that was where I picked up the interest. Like, okay, this logic seems interesting. So it wasn't really coding or anything. It was just some paper logic. Yeah. So that was kind of what sparked my problem solving. Exactly, problem solving.
So how do you think your upbringing like nurtured that interest? Right? Because you said that resources were limited.
Yeah.
Right. So like how were you able to how was your environment able to nurture that?
Yeah, well, my environment didn't really matter me. I forced my environment to have it, you know, because like while I was growing up, so I have an older brother, and he bought a computer into the house because he was also trying to get into computer and he was learning about programming, so he just bought a computer. And then I would be on the computer from like afternoons to like 9, like say like 12 p.m. to like 10 p.m. My mom is gonna be like, okay, it's time for you to go to bed. And I'm like, I don't want to go to bed, but you know, as like my mom, just to like leave me inside the room. And then even while I'm in the room, I'm gonna wait for like 3 hours till she's asleep, and I sleep out to use the computer, you know. So yeah, so I just kept on pressing, opening folders, checking what's going on in the system 32 of Windows 93. Like that's where you have like DLLs and a lot of like window core parts. So I just kept playing around with the things, and yeah, those interests built up, and from there I started book. So my brother had a book on visual basic. Yeah, we had a book on visual basic. And I was like 10 years old or something. So I usually just picked up that book, like, what the heck is going on here? And you know, like I said, logic. And I was like, okay, this is logic, like what's going on here? This makes sense. And then I started like trying it out, even though it wasn't working, but I just knew like this is something interesting. So I just kept at it. That was how I let my learning take me in. So even when my mom would send me inside to go sleep, I would still wake up, call us in the night, and like, exactly. So that was just it.
That's awesome. So can you tell us now about the actual journey into tech, right? So from the early stages, right? We get an idea of the early stages, right? What does it look like getting to know you are now, and specifically software engineering?
Yeah. So yeah, like after the whole trying to sneak out in the midnight, you know, to test the computer, then I got into college, and then I was like, I really want to, because as I then I never had a computer anymore. Because the computer I had was at home, and while I was in college, I was living in home. So I didn't have a laptop, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have access to it because like we don't have like a public computer as a thing. So like I didn't have access to anything, and I even had a friend that he would write HTML and CSS on his phone. Because like yeah, we were very close friends. We had great passion in programming. So he was learning web programming while I was learning desktop programming. And so he could either like get on his phone and like, you know, write some HTML and CSS while I am stuck because like I need a computer to actually do desktop programming, right? So I just have to trick my mom like, hey mom, if you don't want me to fail in school, if you don't want me to come with a bad grade, you have to give me a C. So yeah, that was how I tricked my mom to give me a computer. And I knew like I wanted to do this in professionally. And that was because, and what also prompted me to want to go professionally was because I started seeing like two people who were like doing these things like professionally. Like I had a friend who was like into Android programming, and he was telling me about how he could build stuff, and it was very fascinating. Like, oh, I can actually do these things professionally, not just at home. So yeah, I got a laptop, and then I walked up to that and like, hey, how can I start? Like, it was like, okay, go learn Java or something, you know, and you can go learn Java. I'm like, okay. And then that was how I started. And yeah, I built up a little bit.
So now, you want to tell us about where you work now? What is like a day in life? And what is a day like?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, currently I started working on Apple in January of this year, 2023. So yeah, a day in as a software engineer at Apple. Well, just like most tech companies, it's demanding. Like you have to deliver, just like, and you have to deliver not you have to deliver quality. So yeah, the day is just like you have tasks to do, and those tasks has to be time and quality. So and we're gonna have we have like several meetings and stuff like that. So yeah, so in the mornings we have like small meetings where we with the standards. And if you have anything challenging with the documents, you discuss with the libraries, or if it is someone from like different from your organization or something, have a meeting with them. So yeah, like yeah, that's the regular idea of a software developer, but I just have to be on time and produce quality.
So you mentioned quality a couple of times. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to happen?
Yeah, well, policy is well, like every company has a policy, right? But in terms of where I work, I would say policy is just ensuring, okay, for example, the mobile phone, for example, if you run an application, the application has to be fast. Even if as a software engineer, you're doing several kind of data and device applications, you have to make sure that every responses are as quick as possible. So you want to make sure that you want to make sure you are doing your stuff in a multi-threaded environment, and you are making sure that everything syncs together. So yeah, that is what I mean by there has to be quality. So UI has to be on point, user friendly. You have to meet the specifications of the UI, and you also have to meet the specifications of the application. So yeah, it has to be fast. Like you don't want a user waiting 30 seconds for just a hello screen, you know. So yeah, that's what I mean.
And how do you like working as a cutting edge technology?
Uh, well, like for me personally, I have always made myself that kind of person that was ready to work in this kind of environment. So like right from when because like right from when I started, my first job was at a startup. In fact, my first 3 jobs were at startups. So, but when I was there, I didn't, I didn't make myself write code because we were a startup. I always I always like read blogs on like from developers from Google, Facebook, Amazon, you know, and they talk about quality engineering. So like that has been something that has been interesting to me, like quality, not just writing code, but like is the code good, does it work well and fast? So yeah, that is kind of what I have grounded myself in right from time. It, like I didn't, like I said, I don't get it at first. So it took a lot of time to build it up, and yeah, that was how I kind of like built up myself, and that is typically what I'm doing right now. So it's like I'm doing what I've been doing all this while. So even though there is more pressure, there is you have to like deliver like on time, and yeah.
That's a bar right there. Like you made yourself a person. Like you always had the attitude of like before you were at Apple, you always like carried yourself with that like like I deliver quality product. Like you keep yourself to a certain standard. So you basically like rolled your way into like this opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Like so like I remember when I started with when I started like, when you're working with like Android programming, you face a lot of you face a lot of like orders. It's like Android can be if you have an application like that, it can run anywhere. And when you get some users that use the application on some pretty low end device, and you start getting feedback like, oh, who's this trashy developer? Like your product is not good. Then yeah, that should get to you, and that should make you feel like, oh, I need to do better. So that is kind of the experience I had that makes me want to be like, okay, I have to do better. I have to like develop like, something quality. So yeah, that was how it was.
Covering all the components of the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also like to say like probably my study of marketing college also kind of like helped because when you study marketing college is different from when you study marketing high school. So like marketing college is kind of like more rigorous, like you have to think so hard and so well of like edge cases. So yeah, I would say that kind of
Can you share some of your biggest challenges and rewards of working in the field?
Yeah, so the challenges I've had so far is so when I started with traditional machine learning techniques, So and that was pretty easy in terms of running them on the computers, like living computers, like when you don't have like fast GPU and stuff like that. So when I started, I was running myself on this kind of computer. I was like, okay, cool. But then I hit a challenge when I had to like run a kind of neural network code base, and that took me like a very long while to run. And then I started to understand a lot of concepts. So the, most of the challenges I had were kind of like knowing where to start from also. So for example, everyone says AI, but like AI is very, very good. So it's very difficult as a beginner who doesn't have a mentor to know where to start from. Now, like I said, I started running a neural network on a low end computer. If I had a mentor that would have taken like I could have told like, hey, don't start with this, you should start with this. And when you get to this point, you will probably need like a trial set to run this kind of algorithms. So that is really one of the challenges I have, like the mentor having to this is where I need to start from, and this is where you're heading to. So I just like put my hands in, a different lot of things, and it was kind of tough at first, but then I started to like know where to like start from. Like, okay, I should start from traditional machine learning techniques, and when I want to go into neural networks, I should learn about the simple one D layers of neural networks before I start like going deep into stuff. So that is what I would say has been my challenge in terms of like the AI when I first started. And but like right now, I know where I'm heading. I know what I want to do. So I have more grasp of, okay, I want to do more of computer vision and like natural language processing, and I know the tools that I needed. I know I need a lot of neural networks. So yeah, like I know what I want to do now. So that makes it pretty much easy for me. So I know there are a lot of people that are so interested in this kind of field, and they don't know where to start. Right. So if some people try to like start and they stumble upon stuffs, it might feel difficult. Like sometimes you might get to a point where the article you're reading starts talking about some mathematical stuffs that you are like, what does this mean? For those kind of people, like you need to find, if you don't know your pathway, you need to find a mentor that will let you know this is where you need to start from. For example, I knew the math needed for AI already, but every material I stumbled upon were taking me back to what I know. So, but I was like, I don't need this. Take me further, So that was a pretty tough situation for me to like figure out where I need to start from, because like I already have this background already. But if you don't have that background, some things would be better for you to learn first. So that is why having a great mentor is very important in terms of AI, because like it is a very wide and broad field. And there are some times that you don't even need to learn so much math. Like there are some courses on Coursera that just starts with a lot of mathy stuffs, of which you're a developer, you just need the tools.
Right.
So depending on what you want to do, your use case is different. Right. So that is why I kind of like advise, like if you want to start, try to like find a mentor and to guide you, or find a really good guide that will like really help you. So that is that is my take on it.
Okay. You mentioned mentor a couple of times.
Yeah.
Do you have a mentor now, and are you mentoring anyone now?
Well, I don't have a mentor, but I have people that I look up to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have people that I look up to. And am I mentoring anyone? Well, I am not right now, but I usually do whenever I like see someone that needs such thing. So
Okay.
so yeah, like if I see like okay, this person reached out to me or this person is struggling with this, then yeah, I'm open to like helping out.
I will definitely get you signed up to be a mentor on the team. So before you leave today.
Yeah, that would be a good opportunity.
Cool. I'm gonna pause real quick. We do have some people in the audience. So I want to field like, are there any questions? Anyone have any questions so far? Before we move on. Yes.
I'm more interested in the interview that you got with Apple. What was the process like? What type of questions did they ask you? What type of projects did you show them to demonstrate your competencies?
That's a good question. The interview process.
Okay, yeah. So for the interview process is like, depending on the team, it's like 4 to 5 stages, and the kind of projects. So the thing about Apple, I wouldn't generalize it for Apple, but I just feel like the team I joined was looking for something specific, which I had. So, for example, I had worked on while I was doing my master's degree, I had worked on something that deals with audio processing. So, what is it called? It skipped my mind for a second. But like, yeah, I worked on something that had to do with like audio processing, and also I've done some mobile development in the past. So those are the kind of projects that got my foot into the door. So most of the times, you need to read the description. One needs to read the description of where you're applying to, because what they put out there is like is what they want, right? So if you feel like what they put out there matches what you have, then put it out there. So yeah, if in terms of projects, I would just say there's personal stuffs and probably stuff that I worked on while I was in some other companies. Those are the kind of project I had, and that is what they wanted. And for the interview process, I didn't have to go through the rigorous interview process, because like I started out as an intern. So the interview process for an intern is usually like two stages. So, but like if for someone who's coming in as a full-time directly, it's like 4 or 5 stages. So, but like the interview process is number one, it depends on the team you're joining. But yeah, because like I don't want to like say like it's for everyone. So, but for my team, like for me, I had like 2 technical interviews, and the first one was about the projects that I did, and like asking me questions about the several projects I worked on. Like you should know your project, right? So I knew my project. When I was asked a question about it, I was able to answer like, oh, this is what I did, this is what I did, and then I also had like a coding what is it called? A coding project. I was given like, oh, do these tasks. So yeah, that was my, and also through that interview, they get to know like your behavioral, how you communicate with your partners, how you can solve problems and things like that. So yeah, it's just pretty much like most big tech companies. Like so yeah, I hope I answered the question. If I did, but if you have more questions, I can definitely answer.
Done.
So you spoke about your mindset. When y'all trying to ask the question, and like you had the mindset of you already like had the job, or you already were gearing up for the position you have now before you had the role. Was that something that you always had, or did somebody kind of teach you how to think that way or how to have that type of mindset?
Yeah, that's a very good question right there. So trust me, I was never the person who was looking for like big tech company roles, you know. So I just do my best. I just do the best in whatever I do. Like I never cared if I was in like a big tech or in a small tech. Like what I was like looking for roles, I applied to big companies and small companies. Like I don't mind. All I just want to do is I want to keep on creating stuffs and give people like good services of my craft. So I wasn't gearing up for working in a big tech, if you understand. So I just had the mindset like, okay, this is what I do. I do software engineering. What do I need to make myself a better software engineer? I have to study data structures and algorithms. I have to read other people's code, and I have to write quality code, and I have to make sure I work on projects that I can say myself like, okay, this works good. So I just do all those out of interest and persistence, because yeah, sometimes I would say, yeah, there's been a time when I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna give up on this career, you know, because like it's just so frustrating when you're running when your code says you have an error on line 100 and you only have 5 lines of code, you know, and they're like, okay, where is that coming from? That's not me, definitely. You get. So yeah, it's just persistence. Like you just keep doing it till you get it. So if you know this is what you want to do, keep doing it. So I would say that is just it. Like it's a matter of do you want to keep doing this, or do you want to give up? So you have to decide if you want to give up or you want to keep doing it. So that is just what my mindset was, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this. And then like also when I was in college, like when I was math is hard sometimes, right? And at some point it was very frustrating, but I know like this is what I want to do. I signed up for this, so I just kept on doing it. So yeah, that is just my own mindset of like doing things. I just keep doing this and I get it. So.
Any other questions? I'll jump back in. So given the rapid change in technology, how do you stay current in the tech industry?
Oh yeah, the tech industry can be very wild, to be honest, because like you are still trying to learn something and something else is popping up, and you're like, dude, can you just wait for me? You know?
Right.
Yeah. So it's very wild, and for me, it's very common to put a lot of pressure on yourself, because like there is Node.js, there is Java, there is Spring Boot, there is Swift UI, there's Compose, there's this, there's that you can use, and you need to learn this, you need to learn Docker, you need to learn a lot of stuff. But for me, what I do is I tell myself like it's only when you're sane that you can know these things. So I have to make myself sane and put myself in the right state. Like, okay, I need to calm down and take things one after the other. So the way I keep up is, first of all, whenever I'm on Twitter, I follow like people who talk about techie stuff. So whenever I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm probably trying to catch fun on Twitter, I see stuff people talking about the new release. And if it's just like the headline, I'll just read the headline. I'm like, okay, this didn't exist. Fine, I keep that in my memory. Some days, somehow, you would realize like, oh, I need something. You'd be like, oh, I think I saw something like this on Twitter. And then you start diving deep into it. Another thing I do is my email. I try to subscribe to like newsletters and stuff like that. So whenever those emails come in, I'll be like, oh, okay, something new is out. Or probably someone wrote about this article. I don't necessarily like read everything. I just like to read the headlines just to know, okay, this is what is going on. This is what is trending. And whenever I need to like go deep into stuff, then I open it and I go deep into it. And like occasionally I also like take courses just to like keep myself like updated in like what's going on, like trends and stuff. Yeah, I buy a course like, okay, if I know, like there are sometimes you might feel like, okay, you want to learn a lot of things, but you have to just pick one. Right. You can't learn everything at one time, so you just have to pick one and learn. So I table out, okay, these are all the stuff that I need to learn, but I need to pick one and I just pick one and go with it.
Got it. When you pick, it's just based on interest or
Well, interest and what do I really need right now?
what do you need right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like for example, my one of my goals was to take the CompTIA security course, but I don't need that right now because what I really need right now is not that.
Yeah.
So I would rather pick probably like and probably like something that talks about orchestrating containers because sometimes I deal with stuff like that. So I'll pick that over like the CompTIA security because like what I'm doing right now doesn't really need that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Cool. How do you balance your technical skills and your soft skills in the role that you have today?
okay. Well, it sounds like you have to manage two things, but typically I don't see it as I'm managing those two things. I just live like I feel like you develop soft skills as you just live in life, right? Like whenever you hang out, the way you communicate with people, that is how you develop soft skills. So when you communicate with someone like me, for example, like I'm a very empathetic person, and if I say something that gets someone sad or annoyed, I'm like, hey, oh, what did I say that made you feel this way? And the person tells me like, okay, I need to correct myself. So yeah, that is how I develop soft skills. And like at some point in my life, I was very bad at communicating. And I feel like, okay, I need to communicate in order to like make friends and chat with people. And then I started like improving my communication skills. So like probably when I'm probably tired from work or something, I'll just be like, okay, just watch some communication videos, see how people just interact and stuff. And whenever I'm like hanging out, I put that out like, okay, this is what I saw, let me practice it. So yeah, I feel like it's just soft skills are the things that you do on a regular basis. So it's not like it's not something that you really have to like specifically have to manage. Like it's not like you have to go buy a book on how to communicate, you know.
Right.
So yeah, that is how I see some of my soft skills.
Okay. You mentioned that before working at Apple, the companies that you worked at were startup companies. Can you talk to us about like what that was like working at several different startup companies?
Yeah, well, the thing I love about startup companies is that you can conceptualize your idea, bring it out, deploy it without no long process. It's like when you are dealing with big companies, not just Apple, any kind of big company will have their own process, right? Because they are standard already. So you have to go through a lot of process. So I'm guessing probably like if you go to like JP Morgan, for instance, if you have to do anything, you have to go through the process. But for startups, you can, for example, there was this product that I worked on in 2018. That was like some few months after I got out of college. It was actually a friend I knew. He already had a company and he was just looking to like put in more work. And he invited me like, hey, do you want to join? I was like, yeah, I can join. And then we had this meeting sometimes in November, and we were like, we need to think of something new, a new product to work on. And we were like 5, and we were brainstorming for like an hour or 2, and we came down to this idea of, okay, let us build an educational personal assistant. So it's like a chatbot, but it's like a personal assistant. And we came up with the idea, and we're like, okay, let's go with this. Let's conceptualize this. Hey, I'm like, fine, bring it on. And then the next 2 months, we launched the product. There is no process of, okay, is this ready yet? There were a few testing, but like because we are not big, even if our product fails, it's not going to put a dent on us. But still, as a software developer, you want to make sure that you write quality code. You want to make sure that what you put out there is good. So yeah, I put in a lot of effort, and the product got out, and a lot of people liked it. It's even like 2 years after, it's got like some Facebook funding, and like I was really proud of that because like that is what you can get from working in startups. Like you can, if you do it well, you can, if you do it well and you have enough support, you can hit some limits that you can never imagine. So yeah, that is what I loved about startups. And when you work in startups, you get to meet with, you get to work with different teams. Now, like for example, if you're working in a big company, you might be limited to just probably just software engineering team. But if you're working in a startup, you have to market the product. You have to discuss with the CEO. In fact, you might even be the CEO. Or you would have to communicate with the customers directly. Like as at then, I was communicating with the person using my application, and the user was like, "Hey, you took my money. You're not giving me what I paid for." And I was like, "Okay, calm down. We're gonna fix this." And that was like around 11 p.m. And we were chatting, and I had to fix it. As at then, I even slept over in the office. Yeah, it's pretty rough, but like those kind of experiences really like put you through like a lot of stuff. Like it makes you know that people are actually using your stuff. It makes you know what challenges is happening. Unlike if you are in a very big company and you might not be interacting with the customers directly. There might be the customer service, and there might be some other middlemen before it gets to you as a software developer. And if probably your testing team, I tell you like, hey, this is not working, and you can tell them like, well, I fixed it, it's working in my end, you guys go deal with it. But if you're facing in a startup, when you're with customers, you can't just tell your customers to go work with it like that, because you lose them. They don't want paying you the money, so you have to fix it regardless. So even if your code is telling you have an error on line 100 and you only have 5 lines of code, you have to find that 100. So those are the kind of experience that I really liked about working in that kind of environment. And yeah, that is just my personal. That's just my own personal thing that I liked. So I'm not like people. There are people who they work in big companies and they also do as great as that. So you just have to find what you like, what you're interested in, work with what you have, and just. I have a theory that whatever you're doing, just do your best in it. Like no matter how ridiculous it is, just do your best in it. Like just and be persistent, because you would see the result like at the later end. So yeah, that's the thing about it.
Can you share any like valuable lessons that you experienced while working at the startups that kind of shaped or was beneficial, right, to your role now, other than like other than gaining access to all these other departments and really getting to see all the other sides of the business? Was there any like one experience in particular that really shaped or really added value to your role now?
There was this experience I had. So there was also this startup I worked in, and there was this guy that was he was working on the machine learning side of things, while I and some other guys were working in like the UI side of things. And because this guy was because he was the only machine learning guy, he felt like he was the boss, and he felt like, oh, he knew it all. So yeah, so one thing I learned about that was like, you might be at the top now, but it doesn't mean you're going to be there forever. Like the sky is wide, the sky is very wide, and like the way he interacted with us was very, very toxic. And also the CEO then was very, very like poor in terms of understanding like this guy is doing shitty things. So one thing I learned from that experience was that the culture of where you work is very important. If you work in a very toxic environment, you would not enjoy your job. And that is why some people are like, they don't like their job. That is because that environment doesn't suit their capabilities.
Right.
So where I'm working, it's the way the people interact is of importance for me, and I learned that through that experience.
From a negative experience.
Yeah, exactly. So I would rather have a job that's paying me less money and I have a peace of mind, like I'm happy going to work, than have so much money and I'm frustrated every day.
Yeah.
Because like if you are frustrated every day, frustration might turn out to be a health issue, and you will end up spending so much money on health issues, and there is no point making money.
Right.
So that is kind of one of the lessons I learned. Like you have to respect people, and even if you might be the one at the top right now, someone better will always come. So always try to like share your knowledge, share knowledge, and keep improving yourself. So yeah, that is what I would say is the main thing I've experienced in all my previous experiences. Because I never knew that I had a good environment before till I went to that toxic place.
Got it.
So yeah, and also because I kept on trying to improve myself, that was why I was able to leave that toxic company to a better company. So yeah, that is something valuable.
When we started, you said you're a pretty like laid back guy, right? So like, what do you do outside of work? Like, what do you do for fun?
Sounds weird, but I program for fun. Well, yeah, like I said, like programming started like as a hobby to me. Like it was just fun to me. But then, since it was getting professional, then I started looking for like other means of fun. And then I realized like, oh, back when I was young, I used to write lyrics. Like then there was no lyrics you could Google on the net, and you have to listen to it and write back lyrics yourself. So yeah, I don't write lyrics anymore because like you can just Google it. So but I really love listening to sounds.
Okay.
Like whenever I listen to songs, I like looking for the instrumentals and listen to sounds. So I just listen to sounds, and I also like trying to like I like trying to like mimic sounds too.
Okay.
So that is something that I have interest in.
Like making beats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I wasn't a software engineer, I'd probably be a music producer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I also like we met in the game,
Mhm.
so I like playing games. I like playing Mortal Kombat, FIFA. I'm not really a big gamer though, but like I just play just for fun,
Yeah.
So that is something interesting.
Cool. All right, so we'll have last question. How do you maintain your work-life balance in such a fast-paced industry, other than being outside of a toxic environment? Like, how do you maintain that work-life balance?
Well, when I started, I didn't have a work-life balance because I get to work 7 a.m. and I leave like 11 p.m. So yeah, when I started, I didn't really have a good work-life balance because like I knew what I wanted. Like I was being persistent, and I just like I'm gonna keep doing this, like get it. And but later on, I realized like okay, I need to take a step back. I need to hang out a little bit. So on weekends, I try to like find places to go. So I try to find places to go during the weekends if there is any hangout. And even though I'm not really someone that likes going out a lot, so I just try to like find the ones that suit what I want and just go for it. So yeah, I try to hang out, and I also like try to travel to like visit friends in different places. So yeah, that is how I kind of try to stay off work when it's during weekends. Like because of the nature of a software engineer, like you might have to stay open your PC like around 9 p.m. right? So but there are some times when even as at 11 a.m. you don't really have to open because like there's nothing urgent. So this kind of times I just take it off and just probably check social media or just do something fun for like probably an hour or two, and then I get back to work. So yeah, that's how I try to like maintain like balance.
Okay.
So yeah.
So we have a question.
I got a quick question. So when did you know, like you deep down inside knew that you was good at your job? When was that moment where you like, you know what, I pushed through and like I've got this now. Like I'm confident in this.
So I'm trying to understand the question.
Yeah.
So are you talking about my current job right now?
No, in the profession as a coder.
Like, one point did you know that you were good, like software engineering? Like when you're like, like I got this, like I can go anywhere, like
Well,
like you're interviewing them. You know what I mean?
well, I don't want to say I'm good because like I know I'm not the best, and I'm not as good as some. Like there are people who are still more better than me, right? But at the point where I knew like, okay, I think I am at a very good level. I think it was like when I started. That was like 2017. So yeah, at the point where when I got my second job, and I started seeing problems from the tools I was working with, because like we use libraries, right? We use libraries in whatever program languages we use.
Yeah.
But there are some times when the use case of that library might not work for you. So yeah, when I encountered a use case and I was like, this is not doing the shit I want. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna re-engineer this code, and then that's when I knew, and I was able to write the logic so well, and I was like, okay, if I can think like this, yeah, I think I have hit that point where I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna put on a turbo right now.
I like that.
So yeah. Well, at that point, yeah, I felt like, yeah, I'm getting a hang of it. But if you don't feel that way, it doesn't mean you're not good.
Right.
Yeah, because like everyone's strength is different.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like there are some people who they have strength in looking through people's code and improving it. Okay. There are some people who are good at creating codes from the ground up and making it good. And there are some people who are good at saying like this is not very like this application is not performant, because they know the amount of frames it should take. Because like when you're working with like mobile environment, you can render 60 frames. If you render more than 60 frames per second, then your application is considered slow. I don't know for web, but for mobile, that is considered slow. So if you hit that point where you could realize like, okay, this thing is not rendering, it's rendering more than what it should, then I feel like you're getting more technical, and that is when you're like, oh yeah, you got this. And sometimes you can have it just by mindset. You can just be like, yeah, I got this. I think I'm good. At some points, yeah.
Day one, just jump in like, yeah, I got this. Like,
yeah. Well, you have to like put in some work, right?
Right.
Yeah, but at some points, I was like, oh, I think I'm better than a Google engineer, and that was when I was still in college. I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm better than a Google engineer. But to be honest, when I look back, I'm like, nah, I wasn't good. but because I had the mindset, like, yeah, I'm better than a Google engineer, I kept on putting a lot of effort, like, yeah, I can do this. So I feel like if having the right mindset is also like part of it.
Yeah, that's for sure the takeaway. This mindset, like,
yeah, because there is no best code.
Right.
Like there is nothing like this is the best code. You just have to write a code that's a good code that suits your case. Right. Someone's worst code might be the best code in your own case. Right. So yeah, that's just it.
All right. Any last things you want to share before we close out?
So I have been with people who are just learning programming, and some people feel quite frustrated, and I feel really sad because they feel like, oh, it's very difficult, and they feel like, and because I have put in the work and I am where I am right now, I have passed through those hurdles, and then when those people who are struggling, when they look at me, they feel like, oh, I've got it in all, right. But I didn't just get here by just getting there.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges. The question is, do you want to keep doing that or not?
Right.
And what would make you like go further is that decision. And trust me, people that are good, they only get to being good by just persistence. And like, you might not understand it, right? Like, I have a sister that she's also she's not into tech, but she requires Python for what she does, because like she's doing like chemical engineering. Sorry, she's in chemistry, and she's doing some computational stuff in chemistry. And sometimes she finds it pretty difficult to like write Python codes for what she's doing, and sometimes she feels like, oh, she wouldn't get it. But trust me, she's been on. She's a very resilient person. Like, she's a very tough lady, and I can see her progress. Like, where she was last year is not where she was this year. Even if she feels like she's not gonna get it, I can see the improvement. Like, oh, this girl is doing better than the last time. So I usually tell her, like, even if it's gonna take you 10 years, you're still gonna get this thing, and you're gonna be very good at it. So you just need to keep doing it, and that is just the fact about life. It doesn't have to do with software engineering or anything. Like, if you're in any industry, if you keep doing it, you will get to the top. Like, the sky is very wide for everyone to get to the top. Trust me. So like, if you keep doing whatever you're doing, you will definitely get there. So that is just what I would just want to like share with anyone that might be probably struggling. Like, it's a long ride, and just keep doing it. Like, if that is what you want to do, keep doing it.
Awesome.
And also, like, for experienced people, like, try to accommodate people who are still learning.
Okay.
Like, I have people who I know that are very better than me, and it's very hard to reach out to them, you know. So I always like try to like tell people who probably are at the top, like, reach out to people like us who are still trying to. If we reach out to you, help us. Like, try as much as possible to like help us as much as you can, you know. So yeah, that is.
So we got mindset, persistence, mentorship. That was a key one too. Mentorship.
Yeah, because like if you do not have mentorship, like, you would step in a lot of waters, which might be good, but it will just take you a lot of time to get to where you're going to. It's just like you're taking the suburbs instead of taking the freeway.
Right.
So you will get there, but it's gonna take you a very long while. Like, if I had a mentor, probably I would be better than what I am right now.
But we'll definitely get you signed up to be somebody's mentor today before we close out. So we're gonna close out, but I want to thank everyone for joining us. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.